I was traveling by train, the rhythmic clatter of the wheels creating a soothing backdrop as I settled into my seat. The carriage was sparsely populated, with only a few scattered passengers, each lost in their own worlds. The flickering lights cast long shadows, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As the train sped through the dark countryside, I glanced out the window, the landscape a blur of black and gray. Suddenly, the lights flickered violently, and an icy chill swept through the carriage. I shivered, brushing it off as just the air conditioning. But then I saw her, a ghostly figure standing at the end of the aisle. She was dressed in tattered clothing, her hair hanging in wild tangles around her face, obscuring her features. My heart raced as I realized she was staring directly at me. I turned away, hoping it was a trick of the light, but when I looked back, she was closer, her eyes now visible and filled with a haunting fury. The other passengers seemed oblivious, engrossed in their phones or staring blankly ahead. I felt completely isolated. My breathing quickened as the ghost took a step toward me, her movements slow yet deliberate. I could feel the air grow heavier, as if she were drawing energy from my fear. Suddenly, the train lurched, and I was thrown against the window. The lights went out completely, plunging us into darkness. In that instant, I felt her presence beside me, cold and suffocating. A whisper of wind grazed my cheek, and I knew she was angry. "Get away," I shouted, my voice trembling. I scrambled to my feet, but the train seemed to have a mind of its own, the doors locked tight. Panic surged through me as the temperature dropped further, my breath visible in the frigid air. The lights flickered back on, but she was now standing right in front of me, her face twisted in rage. I could see the details. Her eyes were hollow, devoid of any humanity. I felt an overwhelming sense of dread as she raised her hand, pointing a long, bony finger at my chest. I backed away, heart pounding in my ears. "What do you want?" I cried, my voice barely above a whisper. But she only glared at me, her expression filled with an indescribable malice. In a moment of instinct, I turned and dashed toward the nearest exit, but the ghost moved with lightning speed, blocking my path. The air around me crackled with energy, and I could feel her rage enveloping me, squeezing the breath from my lungs. "Leave me alone," I screamed, desperately searching for a way out. My hands trembled as I fumbled with the emergency brake, hoping to halt the train's progress. The ghost lunged at me, her form shifting and distorting, and I could feel a sharp pain in my chest, as if she were trying to reach inside me. Just then, the train lurched again, this time coming to a sudden stop. I stumbled forward, the ghost momentarily thrown off balance. Seizing the opportunity, I bolted for the door, my heart racing as I flung it open and jumped onto the platform. The night air was cool and refreshing against my skin, and I turned back just in time to see the ghost standing in the doorway, her face twisted in fury. But as the train began to pull away, she faded into the shadows, her anguished scream echoing in my ears. I stood there, breathless and shaken, watching the train disappear into the night. I had narrowly escaped, but the feeling of her icy grip lingered, a chilling reminder that some spirits are not at rest. From that moment on, I knew I would never forget the haunted train ride and the ghost who tried to claim me as her own.